So we were looking at the verse 30, right? The conclusion verse, and last time we were connecting I think 6 or 7 big ideas from the Karma Yoga to the conclusion verse 330, and the next verse 331 and 32 are Phala, the fruit verse. So let's come back to that. So the conclusion verse says, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yuddhyasva vigata jora. So the key word in this verse is karma sannyasa, right? Sarvani karmani sanyasya. And I said nyasa or sannyasa is what? Letting go or giving up. So Krishna is saying sarvani karmani sanyasya. That means give up all your karma, mayi, in me, he says. What does that mean? Giving up all karma in me. Or giving up all karma, what does that mean? Give up all karmas. Sarvani karmani sanyasya.
Don't expect results. Just do it.
But it's not giving up karma, right?
Don't get attached to it.
So basically, it does not mean stop action. Correct? Giving up karma cannot be. That is the first thing, right? Action is default, inaction is not. So that is the first big idea of this chapter. Therefore, when Krishna says give up all actions, he does not mean give up physical actions, because he said actions are default, inactions are not. Right? Actions happen, whether you like it or not. Actions happen from us. So that is number one. Therefore, it doesn't mean give up actions. He's not saying be inactive, because that's the opposite of what he's been saying, right? So what does that mean when he says give up action? It is philosophical action, right? What is philosophical action? Not mere physical action, but a desire behind the action, right? Kama is also synonymous with karma, because an intentionality gives a direction to the action, and therefore that becomes philosophically what is called as karma, right? So what does it mean when Krishna says give up those desires in me? What does that mean? You cannot give up desires. I said, that's the second point, where Krishna says your intentionality is what your actions are. That is what your actions mean. But you cannot give up your intentionality. You cannot give up your desires. What does it mean when Krishna says give up your desires in me?
Just perform your karma, whatever, but don't try to expect anything from it. But say, okay, it's towards Krishna or whatever. Towards Krishna is fine. That is in my, it comes. In me, he says. But just the giving up part, it is not action. It's not giving up action. It cannot be giving up desire, because that is not possible. So what are we giving up?
Bad desires.
In action, what does bad desire mean?
Action which leads to bad karma. Give up those.
Okay, that means you're in other words saying give up actions.
No.
Give up bad actions, right?
Bad actions.
Yeah. But Krishna is not saying that. Krishna is saying give up all actions. Sarvani karmani. Sarva means all. Give up all actions in me.
The fruit that you get for it.
But not in this sentence. Okay. It comes in the next portion of the thing. But in this one, so it is not giving up karma, it is not giving up physical action. You need to act. It is about giving up desire, but you cannot give up desire. So what are we giving up? Is man a doer or not? Yeah, right? But he's still a doer, right? Whether it's a 1% or not, he's still doer. But is man, the owner of his actions or not? There are two things. There's ownership and doership. So we'll come to the ownership in the next thing, but let's look at this. Man is a doer. We do actions, right? So we do actions, but how do we do actions? Those actions are constrained by what? Ahankara, right? I'm doing something, every action that we do when we say it, there is a desire behind it. What desire is? What kind of desire is there? Right? I'm doing this because I want something. It is because of me this thing happened. I want something because I want to feel happy. So when you are consuming, you want to feel happy. When you are doing, you want to be important. Right? So all our actions are basically constrained within this. We have this tunnel vision of all these actions are reference to us. Right? It's all of these are reference to us. Every action that we do is reference to us. But what is the concept of yajna? I said concept of yajna is you are doing the same action. What you are removing is the self-reference to oneself. For me, that thing, it goes away. Right? See, there are two things. There is something called Hita and there is something called priya. I have told this before. What is Hita and what is priya? I'll put Hita here. Hita. How many of you understand Devanagari? Or don't understand Devanagari? You are a special case. Okay. So this is Hita. I'll just write in English as well. Right? And this is priya. Or I should say priya, female. This is priya. Or priya. Good names though, huh? Hita and priya. So what is Hita and what is priya? We have discussed this before, and when I said a truth is it's not. See, satyam na yatartha katanam hita bhashanam. Right? Truth is not saying things as they are, but it's measured by what impact it has on others. Right? The hita. But what is that hita? Good. It is the one, any act that brings joy to others. Joy to others is Hita. Right? When somebody has no food, when you feed that somebody, what level of ahankara is there when you are doing it? When you are giving money to somebody who is very much in need of it, or it will lead to a very good education and all of those things. When you are giving up for a good cause, how much of ego is there in that? Right? So when Hita means that which brings joy to others, and is also the way it is, that which brings joy to others actually brings joy to us. Because if you are doing something for the joy of others, your ego goes low. When your ego goes low, it is a joy to you as well. Anything where ego is high, it cannot be a joy. It is not happiness. It can be pleasurable, but not happiness. Right? Happiness is where your ego level is low. And it so happens that when somebody is happy, automatically you also feel happy. There is no case of happiness where somebody feels happy and you are sad about it. That happens only here. Right? Apriya, there is an apriya there. Right? You don't like it. But when you genuinely are happy, when you genuinely give somebody and somebody else is happy, even though there is nothing that happened to you, you will be very happy because they are happy. And also in cases, and I give example of watching sunrise or sunset, where something is much bigger than ourselves, that transcends self. When you are watching it, there is a natural happiness. So these are a few things that are what? Hita. Right? So what is Hita? Hita is something that brings joy to us when we are bringing joy to others. There is a joy that happens when the ego goes low. And the thing is, happiness is always tied to low ego. Always. Pleasure is tied to high ego. So happiness is very sustaining, very deep, very satisfying. Pleasure is not. It is very fleeting. It comes and goes. Right? So that is the difference between what is Hita and or in Upanishad, in Kathopanishad, Shreyas and Preyas. priya is priya. When priya is there, what? When you eat ice cream, is it hita or priya? Priya, right? Because it is sensory, right? Sensual. So that is priya. Whatever comes through the senses and gives us happiness, that is priya, right? And apriya is when you do not get it, it is apriya. So priya. And here, this is also priya. When I say priya, it's priya and apriya happens here. What about tamas? What is tamasic priya?
Hurting somebody.
Getting pleasure.
Right. Yeah, sadism, right? It is priya. And sleeping and not getting up. Right? Laziness is again tamasic priya. Right? There is a lot of priya in there too. Right? There's a lot of priya. Here, what is this kind of priya? What is this priya? Rajasic priya.
Just that benefits yourself.
Selfish, self-importance. When people recognize you or when you feel very important, you feel a lot of powerful. That sense of a high that you get, excited high, that is a priya which is a rajasic priya. When this is sadistic priya, when others are hurt, you feel very happy by hurting others, or you feel happiness in inaction. That is this priya. The only thing that is sustainable and that is a very deeply joyful and deeply satisfying is hita. That only comes when the ego is low. So, in Kathopanishad, I don't know how many of you were there first of all, but if you remember or not, when Yama, it's a Yama Nachiketa Samvada, right? Nachiketa is a young boy who goes to Yama, and when they're discussing, they talk about, Yama starts describing what ajnana is. So he says, antare vartamanaha, avidyayam antare vartamanaha, swayam dhiraha panditam manyamanaha, dandramyamanaha pariyanti moodaha, andhena iva niyamanaha yata andaha. What it means is, what is ajnana? What is the characteristic of ajnana is, ajnana avidyayam antare vartamanaha, those who are completely sunk in ignorance. What? It's not ignorance of not knowing. It's the ignorance that is ahankara. Right? It is this kind of ignorance and that kind of ignorance. So avidyayam antare vartamana, what? Swayam dhiraha panditam manyamanaha. They think they are the dhiras. They are the ones who know everything. They are the ones who are the experts in all subjects. Right? Dandramyamanaha pariyanti moodaha. See, knowledge is the one that gives you direction. Right? They are pariyanti means they are going here and there. No direction, nothing. Like what? Andhena iva niyamanaha yatha andaha. That means like a blind being led by the blind. Right? There is no direction. There is only going. Like sheep they are going. With no direction, no nothing. So that is what avidya is. Avidya is where the whole sense of direction is gone, but there is a lot of sense of self-importance. Where, ahankara is at the high, therefore, you are no longer in the learning mode. You block the learning. And that's basically what avidya is. Avidya blocks any kind of learning, from the world. So that's what Krishna is talking about here. Right? So karma sannyasa, what is karma sannyasa? Karma sannyasa means not giving up karma, because you cannot. And it's not giving up desire. You cannot. It's giving up what? It is giving up of this self-constricted sense of self-reference that we have in every action that we do. Hey, what is in there for me? In every action that we do, we always have this unstated clause in it where you think of, hey, what will I get from it? Anything that you are judging, because see, judgment is at buddhi level. On top of buddhi sits ahankara, right? So any action and every action of buddhi, judgment, is what? Biased by what? Ahankara. So ahankara says, hey, what is in it for me? Whether it is actually related to you or something unrelated, you think, okay, what is in it for me from whatever unrelated action it is? right? Because he's my guy. Because this, your ahankara is not just you. Whoever you extend it to, right? Me and mine, right? Whoever you think are mine, even that you consider an offense to us. If something happens to them, you consider it an offense to us, right? So that is the ahankara, that definition that we have. And ahankara leads to priya, right? Getting of sensual pleasure, but not joyful pleasure, or not satisfying and a deep sense of satisfaction and deep sense of inner pleasure or happiness can never come from ego being high. It should always be low. And like psychologists say, right, ego is a kind of protection for us. Why do you put ego? Because you don't want to be a footrest, right? You think otherwise, if you don't, you get disrespected. You do not assert yourself, right? So it is a safety or a secure kind of mechanism. But if you are really secure, your ego will be low. A really secure person who does not have that security, defined in terms of what others do to them, can have or will have that ego at a very low level and can experience joy in whatever they do, because now it completely opens up. All actions open up, right? This is what is called as sarva karma sannyasa, where you take the self-reference out and you are doing it for the sake of doing the right thing, right? It is you are doing it because you are in a relationship with nature, in a relationship with society, in a relationship with the animal kingdom, all the Pancha Mahayajnas. You are doing it because that ought to be done, because it is good. You feel good to share, and that is what happiness is, right? Your happiness comes with give and take, sharing, and nothing else. I mean, this is from at least 3,000 years of known history, right? If you date, Bhagavad Gita and all that, the known, Panini is, I think, the oldest place where Krishna and Arjuna are mentioned, which is like 800 BCE. So that is what, 2,800 years ago, you find the first mention of Krishna and Arjuna in something that has come down to us. We don't know about other things, right? In that, all these things come. And it has remained unchanged for the last 3,000 years. That, hey, if you really need a deep sense of satisfaction, it only comes from sharing. There is no other way. But every one of us will be deluded into thinking that, we need to go here to get it. But this is more fleeting and this is more transforming, right? So that's what sarva karma sannyasa means. What does Krishna mean when he say, Mai, in me you give up? What is in me you give up? It doesn't mean, even though the practice of in the end saying Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu, you know that, right? When you say whatever you do, finally you say Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Why do you say that? What is Arpana, and why do you need to do Arpana? What is Arpana?
Giving away.
Giving, right? Arpana means giving. And why do you need to do Arpana? Why do you need to say Krishnarpana?
So we could get Hita.
Huh?
So we could get Hita.
How do you get Hita?
Because when you give, it's a pleasure for other person.
Right.
You get Hita. So giving away me means Krishna is in everybody. So you get Hita.
Yeah, but there is when you say, I give up to you, there is a reason why you say that, right? If it is not reality, there's no need to say that. Hey, I'm you can say, I'm sharing with the world. You're not saying that. You're saying, I give up my actions in Krishna. Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Why do you do that?
Keep the ego down.
Okay, okay. Why do you keep the ego down? I mean, I shouldn't say that. Okay. What is it in it that keeps your ego down when you are the one who's actually doing it?
Because I am doing it.
Right.
I am not being proud or egoistic to myself that, I did it. Like, I did it because it needed to be done.
It needs to be done. Okay. So in a way, it is also correct. But what Krishna is saying here, when he says Mai, See, there is a statement in Upanishad, this is fantastic, heuristic. Yadeva vidyaya karoti, shraddhaya upanishada, tadeva viryavattanam bhavati. Fantastic statement. It says, whatever you do, right? If you do vidyaya knowingly, with understanding, shraddhaya with a lot of honesty and faith, upanishada with very lofty ideals, tadeva viryavattanam bhavati. Whatever you do, it becomes force multiplied. If you do something without knowing, the fruit of that is very low. If you do something with knowing, the fruit multiplies. If you do something with knowing and with faith, even more. With knowing, with faith, and with high ideals of the Upanishad, which is basically what this is, karma, samarpana. Then it says that brings back so much fruit in your karma. It is the same karma, right? So we need to do things with understanding, not without understanding. That's what it's saying. And you need to do with a lot of honesty. If you do something with very dishonest, there's no fruits to that. So doing is important. Doing with knowing is much more important. Doing with knowing and faith is even more important. Doing with a big sense of ideal of the Upanishad is the most important, and that what is yajna. Yajna is that sense of whole, that my karma is not just this narrow sense of something that gives something back to me, but it is something that I am doing to share with the nature, within all these different domains. When you have that big sense, that becomes a yajna, right? When you say Krishna arpanamastu, right, you need to know, because a lot of these things become doesn't mean anything. Simply, automatically, instinctively we say this, right? But what does that mean? You need to understand two things. There is doership and there is ownership. What do we own? What is ownership? Now you need to tell me. I mean, you need to define what is ownership, and then,
We don't own anything.
like,
Basically say whatever we have is yours.
the saying is different. That's what I'm saying. So you need to tell me how that is. See, Arpana Bhava is all big deal, right? But without understanding what that is, it's all yours. And then when we do Naivedya, we are feeding all the food to Krishna. It's all you eat. If Krishna started eating, we would never, give it to Krishna, right? Because we know and we are secure that it will finally come to us. That we do Arpana, right? So what exactly is ownership? What exactly is ownership? In real world.
Is it the action that we do?
No. I'm just asking a question like, what is ownership? When you say you own a car, what does it mean? What is ownership? A landowner. What is ownership?
I have a right to use it.
Right? Exclusivity. Right? You have an exclusive right. You own it because you have exclusive right to. You over it.
Yeah.
Right? But do you have an exclusive right? I mean, somebody points a gun at you and takes it. Somebody else is using it. What ownership do you have? You don't, right? So somebody has to guarantee it. So the state guarantees it, right? The state says, the government says, hey, we will use the army, the justice system, the police and all of those things to make sure that if somebody forces you to give that exclusivity, we will come and make sure that it is returned back to you, right? That guarantee needs to be there. So any ownership that we have is based on a guarantee, right? I mean, if you go to the depth of ownership, it is somebody has to guarantee that.
But what if there's a hurricane and you get destroyed? Then
You have insurance. You have insurance
We have
and ownership.
we get destroyed. You owned it. You think this is mine, but it's not. It's gone.
Okay, so something which is always with you, you own it. Correct? You always have it. You own it. What is it that you always have?
Knowledge.
What about things? What about your car?
I don't have it with me right now.
No, but exclusive. Right? So basically, things, people, whatever it is,
you really don't own, right? If you look at the sense of ownership of exclusive access and having it always, things definitely not. You need to be guaranteed. Next Africa, who knows? One day somebody might come and take all your land away. So where is your ownership? So you are never an owner, right? You are always a renter with a guarantee from the government that you will always get it, right? So that is the concept of ownership. If you look in jurisprudence, in law, ownership doesn't mean anything else. It's a guarantee that the government gives that you will have exclusivity about something. But you really don't own anything in that sense.
That's not, because governments change and governments may take it over. And the other thing, look at banks.
Yeah.
You think your money was safe in banks? Well, no.
No.
You could guarantee.
So what do you really own then?
Anything attached to you, like your fingers.
The body is also controlled.
Okay.
So, right?
Nothing.
Things people have said, then even your body is not, you don't own it, right? It goes away, right? Then what do you really own then? That is there. Kathopanishad says, yatha karma yatha shrutam. What you know and what you can learn, what you do and what you can do. That is the only thing that will never leave your side. It will always be on your side, always. Whether it's bad or good, it will always be with you. So basically, when you come into the world, you come with those two. When you leave the world, you leave with those two. Nothing else. Nothing else is owned. It is all leased. Right? Different.
Sorry, can you repeat that? What did you say we own?
Knowledge and experience.
Yatha karma yatha shrutam. That's what Kathopanishad says. That means whatever you know,
Whatever you know. Okay.
whatever you can learn, right? Whatever you did and whatever you can do are the only things that you own. Nothing else. You own your karma, you own your jnana. Nobody can take it away from you.
Experience, right?
Knowledge and experience. Knowledge and experience. Nobody can take it away from you. Whatever it is. Right? Other than that, you really think, this is coming to reality, down to reality. Everything that we call ownership is but a social guarantee. As long as the guarantee is there, it is with you. When the guarantee is gone, it is gone. Right? That is ownership in the worldly sense. In the real philosophical sense, what you own is what you did and what you can do, what you know and what you can learn. That's it. That is what is ownership. But what ahankara does is basically thinks, everything. It's like this teller in the bank, right? The teller in the bank, is he a doer? Yeah, he will give cash. He or she will take the cash. If they start thinking I'm giving my money and I'm getting the money for myself, what happens? Right? Do they own the money? No. They handle the money, they don't own the money. That's how it is. The word, Ishavasya Upanishad, the first thing in Ishavasya Upanishad is this. It brings this idea. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitaha magruda kasyasvit dhanam. It says, Isha literally means one who controls, one who is a master. He says, the master is fit to live in everything. Why? Because everything in the universe is inactive without being infused by him. It needs him for everything. In other sense, he is the real owner of everything. Nobody owns anything. Jagatyam Jagat. The Prakriti in which all this world lives only belongs to him. Nobody else owns it. Right? And then he says, and therefore, tena tyaktena bunjitaha. Enjoy what he has given you. Ma grida kasyasvit dhanam. Do not greed for any other's wealth, because the wealth does not belong to them, nor does it belong to you. So you earn, you enjoy what is God given to you.
Don't greed after somebody else's wealth, because nobody owns anything else. That is the starting of Ishavasya Upanishad, to give you this sense of, hey, what does anybody own? And who is the real owner? Right? So, karma, when you say Krishna Arpanamastu, you are saying, hey, everything that I am doing, it's like I'm handling the cash. My actions are like cash that I'm handling. I'm giving and I'm taking. But who is the invisible hand for who is generating? Krishna. Right? The action, the real doer is Krishna. He is the Swatantra Karta, I am the Paratantra Karta. I am still the Karta. See, you cannot be an experiencer without being a doer. Right? It's like saying, hey, I did not steal, but it's fine, you can still go to jail. Right? You cannot suffer for something that you have not done. Right? So doership is there. Without having a doership, there is no sense of having an experience. Right? So you are suffering something, that means you have actually been a doer and done something. Right? So doer is there. But are you an independent doer? No. Your doership depends on so many other factors. Right? And what is the invisible hand that is doing through you? Krishna. That is why when you say Krishnarpanamastu, it means I am in an illusion that I am doing independently. Hey, no. It is your power that is making things through me. Just like a cashier is handing the cash or handling the cash but does not own the cash, the same way the owner is somebody else, we are the handlers of the action. This is very important concept. Ownership and doership. We are doers without being owners. It needs to generate a lot of questions. Otherwise, it means you've not understood it. There's another 30 minutes, so we're not running out of time. I'm not going to leave you. What does it mean when I say I am a dependent doer, like a handler of cash in a bank, but the real owner is somebody else? And the real independent doer is somebody else. In this case, Krishna.
So, the example you gave before, like, I should turn on the light. Is it the same concept in the sense that you think you're doing it, but you're not really doing it? Everything else is...
No, you're doing it, but you're claiming exclusivity to it, right? You're saying, hey, the light came on because I did it. I turned the light on. But that you had the desire to flip the switch, you did something. Definitely you did something, right? But all the other things need to be there for the light to come on,
right,
which you conveniently ignored it. So what I'm saying here is we know that we are partial causes, right? We bring some.
We were there to actually turn the switch on.
Yeah, but we are still the doers.
We do it.
Because without doing you cannot suffer. Right? You have to be a doer to be a sufferer or enjoyer. Right? So you are a doer, even though you are a partial doer, and there are so many other things, in which brings about the outcome. That's fine. But what does it mean when I say I am the doer without owning it?
Because that's the recurring theme, right? That we always hear you're entitled to your action, but not to the fruits of your action.
No, even the doership.
So you're entitled to be the doer,
right,
but you're not entitled to own the result.
Yeah, that's fine. But you are the doer, but you don't own the actions. What does that mean?
You don't own the result.
Now, do you own the actions?
So let's say you control only 1% out of 100%.
No.
1% is important.
No, that is understood, right? See, we understand that whatever is our intentional action is what is, karma. Everything else is instinctual and below the conscious level, unaware, right? We understand all that. But what does it mean when I say, even with respect to 1%, we do not own it?
but we still are doers. See, if we owned it, there is no need to say Krishnarpanamastu. What does, like in Sanskrit, when you say Namaha, what does Namaha mean? What does Namah?
I bow down.
That is English meaning. But what is the literal? Not mine, right? Not me. Na, ma. Or na, mama. Namama, namaha is the same. So not me, not mine. Namah means not mine, not me. Right? That means, that's the reality. See, a worship in a Christian sense is a different thing. A worship, even if you can use such as, if I use a Sanskrit term, upasana, aradhana, puja, it means a sense of giving up that sense of ownership. That is what is upasana. Right? There is no...
There's a free will in that little action that you do. Like even you're doing turning a switch on.
Yeah.
That's your intention. Because
You are the doer.
The
There
whole,
is...
whole thing.
Correct, right, yes, yeah. So that is understood. But still within that, even within that, you don't own it. You just are the instrument to channel it.
I'm just working basically for it. I was brought at that particular time to do that, and it's not under my control. It was just destined for me to do.
Basically, that's what it is. So whatever we are doing, whatever we are thinking, right, it is a result of the environment, the ecosystem in which we live, right? So all the decisions that we do, all the decisions that we take, everything that we do, even when you are aware of it, for aware, actions that you're completely aware, do you think you generated it from vacuum? No. You don't, right? It is like, you place a stone and a lot of things are bouncing with each other, and then, it bounces on that stone, and that it bounces on something else and all that. So even though we think, we still act. Why we act? Because you put an intention to action. That is what action is. See, action happens whether you intend or you don't intend. Right? So everything is coming from Paramatma. You are superimposing your intentionality on it. That's it. So, this is, I don't know is this clear? The thing is, why did Vedanta go to all this trouble to prove what you do, you don't do?
Because what you do is influenced by your environment.
Correct. So that is the biggest thing, that is the biggest block to the happiness of the individual. Right? That is the biggest block.
So, I guess that's the reason people say that sannyas is, or I should say that karma yoga is more difficult than sannyas, because at intellectual basis, I get it, whatever we are saying, but when we have to practice it, it's really hard.
So you are saying sannyas is an intellectual thing?
No,
Then?
because when a person understands all this, there is a person who said, okay, nothing is mine, everything is God, I don't own anything, and I'm done with everything, I'm going in the forest, I don't need anything. And he really means it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, let's say in our case, we have children, we have family. Even if we understand this, we still have to, this is our responsibility right now. Like
Correct.
Arjun, his responsibility was to go and fight the war. So this is our responsibility. But living in this world, right now we are having this discussion, and I'm like, okay, my responsibility is to just, I gave birth to those children, I have to take care of them and don't expect anything from them. Maybe for this day, I'm good. But then, when you practice it, tomorrow if I'm having some, tantrum in my house and I'm back to normal, like, oh gosh, I have to take care, oh gosh, I have to do this. So, intellectual basis, it's understandable, but to practice, it's really difficult.
Yeah, it is. But see, the sense that, hey, I don't own it, therefore I don't want it. Is,
No. I mean,
it is bringing a sense of realism into the day-to-day activities.
keeping that thing in mind all the time and doing day-to-day activities
Correct.
needs a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, that's why you need sadhana, right? But the last thing Krishna means, because he says, Tas yuddhasva vigata jvara. So he's saying, hey, go fight. So he's saying all this and saying go fight means what? It means, hey, you don't have a sense of, don't give up the sense of ownership, then you will be realistic. Because with the sense of ownership comes what? The illusion of permanence, right? You think everything is permanent, but what is really permanent is what you do, what you can do, what you know and what you can learn, right? So that is most important. So you need to focus on that and go do. Don't be under any kind of illusion that you own other things. That you are here born because of some great thing. No. There is a world and it has its own logic, and you just you just happened into it. Just do your part in it. That's about it.
But if you take it to its logical extreme that I don't control anything, you get into this thing of like, well, what's the point? Because
No, but the point. But he never said I don't control anything. You are the doer, right? The only thing we have is we can do, right? So when you say I do not control anything, you can do, right? You can do, you can make things happen. That's the power that you have.
That builds your karma.
That is the karma, right? And you can learn. That's the attitude. So these two things are there. But these two things are the only permanent in you that you can rely on. Nothing else you can rely on. That is basically what he's saying. Hey, these are the two things that you can rely on. What you can do and your ability to learn. That's about it. If there's one heuristic that you need to take as a rule in your life, that is, I can do and I should be able to learn. That's
There's
about
a
it.
very fine line between I can do and then reaching the ego. Oh yeah, I can do.
No, that ego part is I can bring about that outcome, right? But we are only saying, hey, I can do means I can do the process. Outcome, I don't control. So when we say we don't control, we do not control the outcome, because we are always trying to control the outcome to our liking, and that is the sense of all this frustration.
How
Right?
we've been trained.
Yeah, that's how we have been trained. Hey, because we want a certain outcome to be this way, and we act that way, but we don't even know whether such an outcome happening will be good for us in the ultimate analysis. Look back 10 years. All the things you thought it was good for me, is it still holding true or not? Is it changed?
Something you thought was good may not have been good.
Right? If I do this, if I come to America, everything is solved. That all is over now. If I just own a car, everything will be solved. That also happened, nothing happened. If I own a home, all my problems will be solved. That also happened, nothing happened. Right? So all this is here. If this happens, if that happens, then all the problems will be solved. It's like hanging this carrot in front of the horse. You always try to grab it. It happens, and nothing changes. Right? What you are, you always are, whether you get something or not. Right? So yata karma, yata shrutam means what this ability, this understanding, that power that you have, that you can do, and this attitude that I want to learn. Two things. That's all you need in life for any kind of sadhana.
Let's go back when you said that whatever we do is influenced by our environment and how we think.
Right?
Is that because of what karmas we had? And that's all.
Yeah.
To the, so
Those are all what is called as
what
advish.
is karma that leads to the environment that
Correct.
you're in.
Right.
And that leads to how you think to do certain things.
That's what Krishna will say in the next few verses. See, the environment shapes us, right? Nurture is definitely, there's a lot of influence of nurture. Nature, our DNA is also there. So it is an interaction of those two which influences what we do and how we think, what we know, right? All our biases and all of those things are influenced by our environment, our genes and all of those things, right? So the only thing we are doing is making decisions based on those biases and doing our action. So when you say Krishnarpanamastu, what you are saying is, hey, I am doing it with the intelligence that I think is right. It is all you who really in ultimate analysis knows all this. I don't know. If you know that you don't know, you are a jnani. Right? Kenopanishad, that there is a whole thing. Right? If you know, if you think you know, you are a fool and you don't know, it says. Brahma telling Sadashiva that if you the one who really knows that he doesn't know. It is all about negatives. If you go to the I've discussed Kenopanishad long back in these classes, and it says one who knows that he doesn't know really knows. Right? One who thinks he knows does not know. Right? That means there is so much there, and it's an ocean, and we are a small cup of water in that ocean. If you think you know everything, you don't. If you know that what you know is nothing compared to what is there out there, then you really know, because that is what is reality. What we don't know is much, 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 much more than what we know. So the attitude of learning is that attitude, that the understanding that, hey, I don't know, but I want to know more. But still, there is so many things that I don't know. That is the attitude of learning. That is the requirement. Right? So when we say Krishnarpanamastu, all this is there. Right? So, Mahi Sarvani Karmani Sanyasya Adhyatma Chetasa. What is Adhyatma Chetas? What is Adhyatma? What is Adhyatma? Adhyatma.
Learning on your own.
No, Adhyatma. What is Adhyatma? Haven't you heard Adhyatma? Adhyatma Vidya. What is Adhyatma Vidya?
It means knowledge of the self.
So the English translation is spirituality, right? Adhyatmik is spirituality. That's not what it means. See, Adhi in Samskrita, Adhi Atma is Adhyatma, right? So Adhi in Samskrita means that which sits on top, or that which is that more important. That is Adhi. Like Adhikara, Adhika, more, right? So Adhyatma means where Atma is Adhi, where Atma is the primary focus and importance. Everything else is not. That is Adhyatma. Chetas means with a bent of mind. That means what Krishna is saying is, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa, Mai sarvani karmani adhyatma chetasa sanyasya. Hey, give up all your actions with a bent of mind that the Atma, Paramatma, is Adhi, is the most loftiest, the most highest, and is the invisible hand which creates everything else. Give up with that sense of Paramatma is the one who owns it, and he is the invisible hand who makes everything happen. That is Adhyatma Chetas, that kind of sense. Nirashihi, without desire. What is without desire? By now I've repeated it so many times. Without desire means without desire for controlling the outcome. That is what without desire means. Nirashir, without any kind of desire to control the outcome to your own liking. Nirmama, giving up the sense of ownership. Mamata, what is mamata? Mine, right? Holding mine, this is mine, right? Yudhyasva vigatachvara. Fight this battle without this disease of doubt and low confidence that you have, O Arjuna. So this is the conclusion. So what Krishna is saying is, hey, ultimately all what Karma Yoga means is give up all your actions in the sense of give up this self-reference, this constricted sense of doing everything for yourself. Give that sense up. Expand the horizons of that so that it is an act of yajna where you are increasing the joy for others, doing the good for dharma, right? and then with a bent of mind that it's God which is the invisible hand which drives everything. It is not you who is generating this situation. You will not be the end of it. World will go on. World was always before you. World will continue after you. So, with that bent of mind, without trying to control the outcome to your liking, because you don't even know what is good for you or what is bad for you in the ultimate analysis, giving up the sense of ownership, you don't own anything. What you really own is what you can do and what you can learn. Just go fight the war. Give up this doubt. O Arjuna.
So it's kind of saying do the right thing without the expectation of what the result will be.
Yeah.
It's not saying just stop. It's saying just you still have to do the right
Yeah, that's what. So whenever he says give up, he's saying you cannot give up actions. You cannot give up desires. You give up narrowly defining it for yourself. Because see, how did Arjuna define the war? For Arjuna, the war was to get the kingdom back. That is very narrowly defined in terms of him, right? Him being getting the kingdom. But Krishna says, hey, you don't even know whether you're going to win the war. So, Nirashir, don't even desire the outcome that you're going to win the war. Nobody knows, right? Nirmama, you don't own anything. Some things come and go, right? All you can do is, hey, just go fight the war with the understanding this, you are here to establish and fight for dharma. Whether you win or not is not in your hands. But what is in your hands is that you can fight. Therefore, tasmat yuddhyasva, fight. Because what? That is the only power that Arjuna has to do. So fight. And he will learn, right? To learn in the next chapter, we'll hear that. So these are the only things, not just Arjuna. Through Arjuna, it come to us too. All of us have two things. We have the ability to do, the ability to learn.
So if that's the case, then why don't we just do, in essence, good things and just do sadhana? Just do sadhana all the time.
Fantastic question, because Krishna himself asks this, right? Okay, let's go through those two phala verses and then we'll come to that one. And he says, Ye me matamidam. These are fruit verses, right? This is phala shruti. Ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavantaha anasuyantaha muchyante te api karmabhihi. That means, ye, those who me matam, this opinion that I've expressed, who follow, who bring this to practice, anutishtanti, who bring this to practice, who follow this karma yoga, the practice of karma yoga, shraddhavantaha, with a lot of honesty and a lot of faith. Anasuyantaha. What is asuya? Asuya is what kind of thing he has given us. It's so much difficulty. He could have made this so easy. That asuya is like scolding somebody for something which is a little hard. That is asuya. Anasuya means not having that feeling. Just doing whether it is hard or not. That is anasuyantaha. So anasuyantaha manavaha. Why man is manava? What is manava? Manava is man, right? What is manava? Why is man manava? Mananashilanat. That means reflect. He can think. Like Homo sapien, right? I think the sapien or something is man the thinker, right? Sapien. Manava is a sapien. One who can think is manava. Mananashilanat manava. Shraddhavanta anasuyanta muchyante te api karma bihi. They are the ones who get liberated from this bond of karma. They become muktas. They are the ones who give up muktas. Those who follow this philosophy that I have. He says, me matam. He says, this my opinion that I have expressed. People who practice it, they are the ones who lose the bonds of karma. Yetu etat abhyasuyantaha na anutishtanti me matam sarvajnana vimudam tan viddhi nashta chetasam. They who scold this as something which is useless and don't practice it, who, na anutishtanti, they do not bring it to practice, Right? Sarva jnana vimuda, what happens to them? The knowledge is blocked to them. Sarva jnana vimuda tan viddhi nashta chetasan. Ultimately, their chetas, their manas is gone. Their understanding is gone. Right? So there are two things, he says. One, those who bring this to practice, they grow. They grow and finally are able to give up the bonds of karma. Those who do not practice it and also find flaws in it, right? What happens ultimately? They go deeper and deeper in this bondage. Knowledge shuts down for them and they do not ever come up. So karma yoga, either you are practicing karma yoga or you are going down. Basically those are the two things. Right? Now the question is, if this is really that important and that clear, like you asked, why is it that everybody is not following this? Right? People who are following this is minuscule. You can count them with your fingers, right? Not following is the whole of mankind. Why is it like that? Why do you think it's like that?
Because this is Kali Yuga.
No. Even if it's not Kali Yuga, it is not everybody will be following it, right? I mean, it's
Because it's difficult. People usually pick the easy thing to do.
yeah, easy, yeah, that's there. But Krishna says, Sadrusham cheshtate swasyaha prakrutehe jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati, he says. Which is back to your point. See, sadrusham means like, similar to, he says, cheshtate, they act. They act, what? Similar to what? Swasyaha prakritihi, what their nature is. People act according to their nature. Right? Here, nature is also what? Their previous karma, which is their environment, everything. All the influences. See, the influences shape man. Right? Sadrusham cheshtate swasya prakriti jnanavanapi. Even if he is a mahajnani, he is shaped by the environment. He is shaped by his genes. He is shaped by his own karma. Basically, he is shaped by his own karma. Right? Okay, then. Prakritim yanti bhutani. All the beings follow their nature. All the beings are influenced by karma. Heavily influenced by karma. Nigraha kim karishyati. What control can one do? We follow our prakriti. People who do not follow this practice, karma yoga, who cannot practice this karma yoga. Why they are not practicing karma yoga? Because the influence of their previous karma and their environment is so strong. What kind of nigraha, no? Indriya nigraha, what kind of control, sense control can they do? They cannot. It all depends on their karma. Nobody can do anything.
Finds out this, that I'm influenced by the nature. It takes a lot to change.
Right. So the influence of the nurture and the nature is so much on us that it is very, very hard to practice anything good or anything related to karma yoga. Nigraha kim karishyati is what can they do? People, what can they do? Because they are under the heavy weight of this. It's like carrying a whole big rock. We are under the weight of a big rock called Prakriti, our own karma. We are all carrying our own karma. What kind of sadhana will they do? They will not do anything. He says.
But there must be an escape, otherwise why would people do that?
After we find out, how do we get out of it? Basically.
Right?
Even if you know it, you still won't get out of it.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole key to figure out that.
Okay, so we'll go to the next one. Let's see what Krishna says. This one is very, very pessimistic, right? What your previous karma is very, very heavy on you. What sadhana can you do? You cannot do anything. You are gone. He's saying in this verse. That's what he's saying. Right? If you are supposed to do, you would already have been doing it. If you are not doing it, you are under the weight of your karma. There is no way out. You are gone. Is what Krishna is saying here. I am not making it up. He's saying, Nigraha kim karishyati means what? What can he do? Nothing he can do. he says. Right? Let's go to the next one. Indriyasya arthe ragadveshau vyavastitau tayoho vasham na agachet tayo vasham ma agachet tau hi asya paripantinau. Is what he's saying is it is natural for the indriyas to go after indriya artha, which is objects, right? Our senses wants to go and be, be excited by the sensations, right? That's what they seek out. Indriyasya arthe raga dvesha vyavastita. It is natural to have likes and dislikes. That which gives us pleasure, we like. That which gives us pain, we dislike. It is vyavasthitam. It is how it is. Vyavasthiti means it is how it is. Then, tayoho vasham ma agachet. Do not come under their influence. Tauhi asya paribantinau. They are the blockages to sadhana. That means, the heaviness of this karma that we have done is there. But still, when you work hard, when you practice hard, because these things are normal and natural, and they are very, very forceful of you to do it. But vasham ma agachet, you still can do, you still can get out of it. But it is prayatna. You need to do lot of effort. It takes effort to get out of it. Without effort, it's not going to happen. Because it is, environment shapes all this, and it is very, what Krishna meant in the previous verse was, it is very, very difficult to get out of this situation. But the only way out is to put your effort and do it, and that way you can get out. Tauhi paripantinau. These likes and dislikes, they are the ones that block everything. Transcend these likes and dislikes. Do not be taken in by them. You need to understand that likes and dislikes are at the prakriti level. To go beyond it, you need to transcend those, raga and dvesha, and get out of it. So once you transcend it with prayatna, transcending it is the problem, right? Because we naturally go after likes and go away from dislikes. That's very natural as a biological response. But it takes a lot of practice and effort, mahaprayatna, to go beyond it and then and practice karma yoga and get out of karma bandhana. So the previous verse meant that it is very difficult. Even if it is a great person, it is very difficult because people, as a biological response, prakriti makes us go towards likes, go away from dislikes. That's how we are built. If you are in that realm, that is how you are going to act. But when you get out of it, when you transcend it with your efforts, that is when you are, through sadhana, that is when you transcend it and you will be able to practice karma yoga.
So you mentioned about, it's the environment you're in. So could somebody go and change that environment?
You cannot.
No, in the sense that, you give up everything, you become a priest or something. Or you go and, or does your karma, what you did previously, make you a priest at a temple, which leads to your actions being more holy and your thinking?
You really think that?
I'm putting the question.
No.
Because wouldn't your sadhana be more if you did it?
Okay, that will bring us to the final verse before we go to, because what Krishna says is, Shreyan swadharmaha vigunaha paradharmat su anushtitat. Right? Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. Now the question is, what should I do? How should I begin? Where should I do? What should I do? How should I begin? That's the question, right? Karma yoga, where should you begin?
You have already begun.
Oh.
You're already in there.
No, karma yoga, where should you begin karma yoga? Assuming that you have not you've not started it. Like,
you're thinking.
See, what he's saying is, Shreyaha swadharmaha. What is natural to you, what is natural that you are doing, that is your starting point. The starting point is what you are. You need not become somebody else, you need not be somewhere else, you need not do something else to start the karma yoga. That's what swadharma means. Whatever you are, that is your, right? And he says, viguna. What is viguna? Even it is full of flaws. Whatever you are doing, even if it is full of flaws, that is the start. That is where you start. That is better than paradharmat su anushtita. It's better than doing somebody else's dharma, which is perfect. Like you saying, hey, should I become the priest and then get a better environment? No, that is worst, he says. What he's saying, swadharme nidhanam shreyaha, dying in what you are is better than paradharma. Because paradharmo bhayavaha, it will lead to fear, basically bad state. Right? Naraka sthiti, ajnana sthiti. Bhaya means state of fear. So that is basically, finally it comes down to this. Hey, all this I know. Where do I start? What do I begin? You begin wherever you are, and whatever you are and whatever you do. That is where you begin. Even though it is full of flaws, even though it is the lowest of lowest karma, that is where you begin. It is better than you trying to act somebody else's dharma which looks very, very good. That is not for you. Your dharma, your karma is for you. That is the starting point. Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha. Even dying in your dharma is good. In your dharma, what you were supposed to do, even if you die in that, that is better than somebody else's dharma. Right? Because that one is going to lead you to a fearful state, which is state of ajnana and state of naraka tamas. In case of Arjuna, what he's saying is, Arjuna wanted to become sannyasi, right? He says, being a warrior, even though it is full of flaws, it is fine. Go fight the war. Sannyasi is not you. Dying, swadharma, dying in this war, fighting for dharma, gives you the greater benefit than you going to a forest and becoming sannyasi, because that is going to lead to a worse state for you. That is what karma yoga is. That is where you begin. You begin by what you are and where you are and what you do. Swadharma is the best. Whatever you are doing, that you have to transform into an yajna, and that is what your starting point of your karma yoga is. I think we are out of time. So this brings us to the end of the karma yoga part. Next one is Arjuna asked the question about the nature of desire, because what motivates people to act? Why do they act? Why do they commit sins? Why do they commit papa karma and all of those things? And Krishna goes into a discussion of what is the nature of desire, where it resides, how do you get a hold of it, and all of those things comes in next. That's the final part. That's the fantastic part. Very good. So this brings an end to the karma yoga part. What do you think? What are the heuristics that you have in this karma yoga? If you are taking some main points from this karma yoga, enumerate a few. No, what does it mean? Like, what are you taking from karma yoga that can be implemented, that you can do?
Be yourself, do the right thing.
Be yourself, do the right thing. Okay.
Practice karma yoga, but don't overdo it, because it's going to just take you in the wrong direction.
Oh, I don't know where that came from.
Practice karma yoga. Be yourself, basically.
Yeah, that is swadharma is what it means, right? Swadharma nidhanam shreya. Anything else? What heuristic? If there's some heuristic that you can go and implement in the world, what is it?
Don't be selfish.
Right? That is very important. Because where there is sense of self, there is no happiness. There is no satisfaction or sense of satisfaction, nothing. There might be pleasure and a sense of excitement and power and all that, but that goes away. Right? You were saying something?
No, just doing it selflessly. Doing stuff.
Basically, we have two powers which we always own. Nothing and nobody can snatch it. Power to act and power to learn. Right? It's like who's that? Apple, Steve Jobs. Right? Be hungry, be foolish. Right? It's always be open to know. Right? Because ahankara is, first thing that ahankara does is shut off the ability to learn from somebody. That goes away. And the power to act is, whatever the situation is, there is something that you can do and make a difference. Two things. If there's two things that you can take from this, is to have an open attitude, a learning attitude from this, in this world, and there's an attitude that, hey, there is something that I can do, whatever the situation, whatever the dead end there is something that you can still do. Even if you hit a brick wall, there is something that you can still do. That's the power to act that's invested in us. Karma Yoga, 2 thumbs up. Okay, let's. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. Oh, this is where you say Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu.